We are back with your most authoritative afternoon show on television. And this afternoon, we are spending time in Parliament for those who are in Parliament, those who are leaving, and those who are about to enter. Ghana's House of Parliament will, in January 2025, see the exit of some senior members of Parliament. The MPs, for example, will not join the next Parliament, include the Majority Leader, a Member of Parliament for Swami, Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, who has served in the House for 7 terms. Deputy Speaker of Parliament as First Deputy Speaker, a Member of Parliament for Bekwai, Joseph Osei-Owusu, 4 terms, Kennedy Japan, Asin Central, 6 terms, Joe Gatti, Esikado Ketan, 5 terms, Samuel Atachia, Abubuaka South, and of course, Dan Boche from Okere, among others. The truth is that the MPs are under so much pressure from their constituents and Ghanaians at large. By the time they leave office, they are worn out due to the amount of pressure on them. Some resort to taking pills to steady their nerves, while others are left in financial difficulties. And we have been looking at the figures. I mean, how much you need, for example, before you can enter Parliament. And between 2012 and 2016, the cost of running for political office increased by 59%. On the average, candidates require between $100,000 and $200,000, which translates to about 2 million Ghana cedis before that person can enter Parliament. And that, presents a very, serious matter if you want to look at it from the standpoint of the financial implications required before you can have a seat in Parliament. And of course, you need this money before you can secure the nomination of your party and then compete in parliamentary election in your constituency. And this is according to a survey by the Center for Democratic Development. Now, if the cost of politics rises to unaffordable levels, the danger is that politics becomes domain of the elites and wealthy, and that the motivation and incentives of MPs move from serving the public to recovering their own investment. So why serve your people and then are poor in what many have described as a thankless job? That is our conversation this afternoon here on The Pulse with me, Elton Brobe. So this is what we have put together for you now. Breakdown of costs, 2 million Ghana cedis, sometimes dedicated towards nurturing constituencies. There's another 2 million Ghana cedis, sometimes that is spent after recurring candidature, after securing your candidature position, and plus other, expenditure that comes with it. And this afternoon, we are privileged to have some members of Parliament. They've served in the House. They are leaving the House. Some have made it clear that will no longer be serving in any public service. The reason we'll get to understand it better. And of course, some who are still serving and some that have won their parliamentary primaries, waiting for the elections in December and then to take their seat in Parliament, to be a member of Parliament in the 9th Parliament from January 5, 2025. So what are the stakes and what is the way forward on this? Let me start with the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Speaker Joseph Osei-Owusu, who is also the Member of Parliament for Bekwai, and after 7 terms in Parliament, he is calling it a day. Honourable Joseph Osei-Owusu, you're welcome to The Pulse. Honourable, if you can kindly unmute for me so we can hear you. We don't appear to have Honourable Joseph Osei-Owusu. He's joining us via Zoom. We'll try and re-establish contact with him so we can, start the ball rolling on this very important conversation about the MPs and the financial implications on them. Let me try again if I can get his attention. Honourable Joseph Osei-Owusu, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament. If you can hear me, you're welcome to the program. So the point is that between 2012 and 2016, the cost of running for political office increased by 59%. I gave you that figures early on. And according to the Center for Democratic Development, you require between $100,000 and $200,000 which translates to over 2 million Ghana cedis, to secure party's primary nomination and then compete in the parliamentary election in the constituency that you are competing. And the fact is that if the cost of politics rises to unaffordable levels, the danger is that politics now becomes the domain of the elite and wealthy, that the motivation and incentive of MPs move from serving the public to recovering their own investment. So why serve your people and end up poor in what many have described as a thankless job? So this afternoon, we'll be exploring this matter with the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, and also the former MP, David Apasara, will also be joining us. Will be joining us in studio. We'll also be joined by the Nkoranza North, former Deputy Defence Minister, and of course, Southton MP, who is more likely than to end up in Parliament in the next session. And before our conversation, this is a report put together by my colleague, Zuleyha Nuhu.
Mr. Speaker, at the time, Professor Michael Quay, as chair of the board, needed to help a former MP with 12,000 Ghana cedis. And this MP was requesting to do a surgery, a prostate surgery. I want to keep the name because...
It's a typical day in Parliament where members of Parliament passionately debate matters concerning their constituents. However, today's focus shifts inward as concerns about the health of MPs take centre stage. Tamale South MP and former minority leader Haruna Iddrisu had raised concerns on the floor of the House about the quality of health of former members of Parliament and incumbent members of Parliament. Outside the parliamentary chamber, MPs reflect on the toll their work takes on their well-being. In Nhyieso MP, Stephen Amwa means no words as he said the work is stressful.
Honestly speaking, I think the word stress is even an understatement. It's extremely stressful, very, very stressful. And it's stressful because of what it entails. The work is extremely cumbersome because you need to work here. You need to attend to your constituents and then even Ghana at large. And now they are shifting almost everything about the country to MP. So I think even it moves beyond the core functions of a parliamentarian. If somebody has any issue, being social, being developmental, being economical, being financial, they call the MP. So it's getting too tedious.
Busiga MP Ladi Ayamba highlighted that the health and financial stability of MPs are significantly impacted by their responsibilities.
Very, very, very stressful. Very stressful. We have personal issues. We have community issues. We have religious issues. We have constituency at large issues. You have people who will come to you about ill health. And they come to you with all sincerity that you have to help them. You have nowhere to turn to, nobody to give you. The unfortunate and the painful aspect is that people rather tend to always be talking about common fund, MPs common fund, MPs common fund. This thing is supposed to come quarterly. So people come about health, people come about education, that is school fees. Others come about even marriage. Person wants to marry and comes to you as an MP that you should help or support that person, him or her, to marry. Both men and women, or boys and girls, they do.
Bolebamboy MP Yusuf Sulemana echoed the same sentiments, indicating that the overwhelming responsibilities of MPs have a profound effect on their health. Executive Director of ASEPA, Dr. Rashid Rahman, says government's intervention is necessary to address the health challenges faced by incumbent and former MPs.
I mean, if you ask them as human beings, apart from being about, first of all, the pension or whatever end of service benefits that they should be entitled to. If we take away that business of, collateralizing their pension against the vehicles that they use for their official work, I think that would be a big first step. I think the second one, and this is my advice to former MPs, you know, in this country, once an MP or once a politician, people always want to live at that level of lifestyle. If you are a teacher and you go into parliament, tomorrow when you leave parliament, you should go back and do your teaching job. I mean, you have a profession. But most of them, once they leave parliament, they want to live the life of a politician. Apart from the fact that maybe financially they will be better off, I think even your state of mind, when you sit at home and you are not doing anything, it affects your health significantly.
So this afternoon we are exploring this with the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, who is also the Member of Parliament for Bekwai in the Ashanti region. He will not be in the 9th Parliament, but in the studio this afternoon is former MP David Apasera, former Member of Parliament for Bolga Tanga in the Upper East region. We'll also be joined by some former MPs and some sitting MPs, including the South Town MP, Roxanne Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, and then others, as we look to find solution to this very issue. Former MP for Bolga Tanga, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Apasera.
Thank you.
So the question is it really a thankless job as a Member of Parliament?
Certainly, it's a thankless job.
Explain further.
In fact, former Member of Parliament, the moment you leave Parliament, it looks like you are good riddance. Nobody wants to have anything to do with you. I was just listening to the man who was intimating that after leaving Parliament, you should go back to your profession.
I mean, the profession we're on before you became Member of Parliament.
I can tell you, I know former members who have tried to go back to the teaching field, and it is very difficult. There is one person who was a librarian. After leaving Parliament, he wanted to go back and work in the Ghana Library Board. It was a problem.
Why?
We can't tell, but it looks like once you are up to some level, you cannot. People don't want to associate so closely.
Is it the case that you don't want the job, or people just don't want to?
Yes, because you want the job. But this is somebody who applied to go back and do his work at the library, and then he was not given that. He was frustrated. A whole lot of former members, if you ask them, they'll tell you.
So it's difficult to get back to normal life after serving as an MP.
Yes.
For example, if I was a teacher and I'm out of Parliament, I want to go back to the GES.
Yes.
The GES makes it difficult for me to get recruitment.
It is not GES as by way of policy, but the individuals who are there, who you are going to work with or going to work under, would definitely not want to have you. And so you would keep on getting frustrated and getting frustrated. Now, the other thing about it is that you are not entitled to pension.
Because everything is consolidated in your salary. Is that not the case?
No. What happens is that when you become an MP, you have a whole lot of issues to handle with your salary. You have nothing more than your salary. And so if your constituent has an adoring, you are invited. Your constituent has a funeral, you are invited. Your constituent is in the hospital, sick, you are invited. Whatever is the problem with your constituent, and you can imagine that you have a big constituency, and you have visitors coming to you. All is on your salary. And then you come out of that. How much can you save? You can't save anything.
So therefore, it is more like a weekly cycle of expenditure.
A weekly cycle of expenditure from only your salary and nothing else. And then when you finish and you come out, the ex gratia that you're going to get, if you so decide that you are getting out of Parliament, then that is fine. But if you decide that you're going to run again, what you have is just your ex gratia. By then, it might not have been paid. So you go to the bank and take a kind of a loan against your ex gratia. Then you go and spend it to be able to get elected. Just like you were saying, it is about 2 million now to get to parliament. Now, if you are an MP and you are in parliament, you have all your constituents around you, and you are to spend the money. You have no money, it's all your this thing. So you are saving nothing. Now, if you are to come back, if you don't have money to campaign, nobody is going to bring you. So you will have to go and hedge this, your ex gratia or whatever, for a loan. And then you go and spend it there. Then you come back. This is the cycle.
And sometimes, to my understanding, is that even with the ex gratia, is that same ex gratia that the car loan deduction is taken from?
Very good. So the car is taken, the loan is taken out, and then you are left with something meager. So after that, if you succeed in coming back to parliament, you are a lucky man. If you are not successful, then how do you survive it?
We'll come back to deal with the issues going forward. But let me ask, so in spite of all these challenges, the difficult road that you have to travel to become an MP, it is absolutely a very competitive area in our body politics. People are desirous to go.
Yes.
Over the weekend, we saw a huge lineup of people wanting to represent the Ejisu constituency. 9 of them. Eventually, one person won.
Yes.
But for the 8, it ended up, a wasteful exercise.
You see, if you're outside, there are some people who think that, well, getting to parliament, one is self-actualization, and then maybe 2 is a springboard to get into another position. And so there are so many things that, will get people excited about going to parliament. The other thing is that you see the MP cruising in a Land Cruiser, and you think that all is rosy. You will never believe that the person is sweating
in the Land Cruiser.
In the Land Cruiser. So when they tell you don't come or be careful, nobody will tell you be careful and you listen.
But you are paid well.
You are paid well. In fact, for now, I cannot tell you how much. I don't know how much MPs are currently paid.
The conditions of service for an MP is public knowledge.
Yes, but in our time, I don't think we were paid well. Because what we were paid was not able, you had to, it was mere management with your salary to be able to handle funerals, handle constituents' problems individually, and still be able to stay afloat.
But sometimes you get your constituents to understand the kind of pressure they are putting on you, knowing very well that you can't meet all their demands. To the extent I'm told that sometimes even people wanting to get married, they come to the MP for financial support.
Yes.
To do that.
Yes, I mean, you see, if you tell them that, look, things are hard, nobody believes you. And they will tell you that, well, we supported you, we toiled for you, okay, we shall see. And that is what is going to happen. You can't do anything about it. You cannot convince them that you are driving in a Land Cruiser, you come comfortable, and you are not emaciated, and then you don't have money. Nobody is going to believe that. And so you are forced to, and rightly so. There are some of them, they worked well for you. And now you are there. The person has a problem of marriage. Maybe they are coming, like in my place, maybe they are coming for the wife because he has not been able to afford a cow to give to the in-laws. Now, what will you do?
It becomes a responsibility.
It becomes a moral obligation. And so you would be forced to maybe go and even contract a loan to give to the person to salvage the marriage. This is what MPs go through. And then after that, you go back. And the public thinks that you have had so much of government money, and so you can't be paid pension.
So how are you paid your pension? How is it paid? I thought it was all consolidated. The ex gratia, doesn't that represent it?
Well, the ex gratia, as I'm saying, it is like a gratuity. That's the ex gratia. It's like a gratuity. And in some in the area of people covered under Article 71, a number of them get gratuity and they still go on pension. You see, the justices, they get gratuity, they get ex gratia, but they are on pension. They retire on salary. Now, in our case, the Chinrahesi Committee recommended that if you serve 2 terms, you should be paid 20% of a sitting MP's salary as pension for 20 years.
Okay.
Now, this thing was shut down by the Supreme Court because they said there are articles that must rhyme, and they were not rhyming. And so once they were not rhyming and spelling out pension very explicitly, then we are not entitled. But I remember I was privileged to be with the Consultative Assembly, and I remember somebody asked a question. We are talking about pension, but we are saying nothing about the MPs. And the committee on this said, no, we are saying something about pension. We are saying that it should be left to the Committee on Emoluments, the Presidential Committee on Emoluments. And so in Article 71, the salary was defined to include pension.
Right. And what happened to it?
Now, when Chinrahesi Committee recommended, based on that recommending for us to have pension, the Supreme Court said that was just a signpost and it didn't mean we should have pension. If you read through all the articles that concern retirement benefits, it should have been specific that MPs are entitled to pension. And so when it was not, once it's not specific, then it means MPs cannot take pension. And unfortunately, they misconstrued it to mean maybe we also wanted to be on salary, full salary.
Yes.
But it was just 20% of a sitting MP salary for you when you are able to do 2 terms.
And then that is paid to you as pension.
That should be your pension for 20 years. And after 20 years, if you are alive, you find your own level. That was the recommendation of Chinrahesi.
Right.
And that has been denied too.
You've been denied this?
We have been denied this.
And you've left it like that?
What else can we do? I am happy that Parliament now is talking seriously about this. Because this year, the number of former members who have died is bad.
They have died because they were
in
health difficulties, financial difficulties,
yes.
After serving the country for years?
Yes, after serving the country for years, you are now aged. And this is time you have to visit hospital. This is time you have to be on. This is time you have to go for medical checkup. You can't do it because you have nothing. And so how do you go handling yourself?
Mr. Ambassador, will you say that in terms of the arms of government, Parliament is the weakest?
I will not
in terms of the provision and the perks that comes with the office.
Yes.
The executive arm of government, the
Yes.
judiciary, and Parliament.
Yeah.
You have to buy your own car and pay for it.
Parliament
and
is
use
the
it
weakest.
for the service of the nation.
Very good. So Parliament is the weakest. Parliament is the least cared for. And I am happy because as Parliament is saying, they can go ahead to amend the articles that the Supreme Court says are not are making it illegal or unconstitutional for us to get to be paid pension, they should go and amend those articles and put it there that MPs are equally entitled to pension. Yes. Because I was in the Consultative Assembly, and I remember this. And that is why the salary is defined specifically in the Constitution to include pension. Nowhere in the English dictionary do you have salary defined as pension. No. But this is why they did that. So that if the committee comes and sees that the MP as he is needs to be paid pension, and like General Hesse Committee, they rightly put it, the MP, somebody can come at an age about 30.
Right.
He works through and he goes about 4 terms. That's about 16 years.
Right.
Adding to his, comes out. Where does he go to work to get a good pension? And
after leaving Parliament.
After leaving Parliament. So the best option is to give the person a package that can keep him up to 70 years. Because they said you must be 50 before you access the pension for MPs, and then you will only access it for 20 years. And so they were so moderate, but that too was rejected. And so as MPs are sitting down, certainly.
So there's no pension scheme whatsoever for
it is just the SNIT. But the SNIT.
The usual contribution that everyone does.
Yes, everyone
There's
does.
Nothing beyond the SNIT contribution.
Nothing beyond the SNIT contribution.
And you've kept quiet on this matter for all this while.
Look, when we're pursuing this, you see, we have difficulty. You have a difficulty galvanizing everybody to see that you need to fight this until it becomes a big problem and confronts people.
Right.
So when we're doing this, I talked to a number of people. I talked to the Speaker of Parliament. I talked to MPs. I talked to former members, and then I talked to even people in government, former members in government, and I said, look, this issue, we got to handle it because it's serious.
We'll talk more about it, but let me bring in the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu, Member of Parliament for Bekwai, and he joins us via phone because the Zoom is acting up on X this afternoon. Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu, you're welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you very much.
And it's good to hear, it's actually good to hear your voice. So you'll be leaving Parliament after serving first as an independent Member of Parliament and then on the ticket of the MPP, rising to the position of first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. I've heard you say on a number of occasions that, you may not even want to come back into public service. What makes you so sad about what you've done in your life in the public space as CEO of DVLA to Parliament, and now this reservation that you have?
Well, first, let me apologize extremely to you because I accepted to be at the studio. I've been out of office for nearly 3 weeks, so I didn't know that I had so much pile behind me and so many appointments. So it was almost impracticable for me to get there on time. That's why I thought I could use the Zoom. So please forgive me.
Accepted, sir.
Disappointing. Yeah. But specifically, let me say that public service is very exacting emotionally, and if you mean well, then it is even worse because you give it all, your all. And frankly, let me say that the response of the everyday Ghanaian is so disappointing. You'll be called a thief. You'll be called any name. But when you have put in your very best, at the very least, you expect acknowledgement. If you ask me, the worst thing that has happened to me is having so much faith in the public system such that I was hoping that the effort you put in will be acknowledged. But of course, we are warned. When I recall when we first came to Parliament, we went to visit President Kufuor, and he said, "You will never be praised. You will be milked until you're empty, then you're thrown away, and they go for another person." I hadn't dreamt it this way. But I must say that what I find fulfilling is that I look back and say, this is where we started from at the time I joined Parliament or I joined public service. At the time I was leaving DVLA, I could say with pride that I joined DVLA at level A now, or I joined DVLA at level C. Now I can say that I'm at level B plus or A. That was sufficient to satisfy me, notwithstanding what other people said. Then I came to Parliament. I can say with pride that my constituency, I joined from level C, now I'm level A plus, B plus or A. And that gives me confidence. Notwithstanding that, it hurts to hear people call you a thief only because you opted to work for the public. Listen to all public discussions. Every politician, every elected official is called a thief. Nothing hurts me more than that. When I can say with pride, I've never asked for support from anybody. I've never asked for anybody to give me anything before I do my work. You know, those are the things that I think now I have health issues, but I think those things may have contributed to my health issues, and so I want to leave the scene quietly and endure my pain in quiet.
So Honorable, you leave in Parliament or you leave in public service for good?
Well, first thing is that Parliament have already announced that after 4 terms, I think I've put in enough. But I have no desire to return to public service as in being an office holder. My desire is to continue to be a good citizen. I actually have taken on some personal challenge. I hope I can mobilize people for us to work towards reorientation of the everyday Ghanaian. When we say somebody is a citizen of Ghana, what should we expect a person to do? His attitude to work, his commitment to the country, his integrity. Can we do something about what it is today? I've gotten some friends who share that, and we are trying to put out something, a small, probably help if it becomes acceptable. Then we'll use as a basis for training right from the very basic level, preparing people's minds so that probably in 20 years, after I'm dead and gone, probably we'll have something to show that this is what you can expect an everyday Ghanaian, of everyday Ghanaians. Of course, that is a private matter, and I'm interested in helping us reorganize the mindset. I think we have a lot of work to do in that area.
So in terms of addressing the challenge, from your own point of view, where do you think the problem is coming from? Is it misunderstanding, or is it a conduct of MPs that has pushed them in this arena where sometimes you are viewed as thieves, corrupt, or people who are simply about your own welfare instead of the people you represent in the House?
Frankly, if the true work of an MP is reported and not misrepresented, why would anybody call an MP a thief? Because you have no access to public funds. You don't spend public funds. You don't even authorize expenditure. Right? You have practically nothing to do apart from approving the budget in Parliament. What we call the MP's share of the common fund goes to the district assembly, and you can only authorize the MCE or the coordinating director to spend that money in this or that way. The MP takes no part in the procurement of the expenditure. But everyday reportage, and here I bring you in the media.
Right.
And so the recent one, the bloggers. Every misconduct, they come back to the MP. If the road is not fixed, they ask, do you have an MP here? If the school roof goes off, do you have an MP here? Meanwhile, the people responsible for collecting revenue in the constituency are never mentioned. When it comes to our owner, as every Ghanaian, we take no responsibility. So I've cited this example. If you put any typical Ghanaian, the dirtiest building is a public building, either a school building and the neatest one is a church. Doesn't it tell something about how and why? How? So I think that first, the misrepresentation of the role and holding him responsible for what he is not assigned to. And we ourselves, part of the problem, accusing one another of stealing corruption without, because we to give us this guy. It's just that some challenges might make people see, but
I think the connection, we are losing the connection. If you can kindly reposition yourself for us.
I hear you very clearly.
Yes, okay. So let me come back to another issue. In the studio here with me is the former Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga, David Apasera, and he is taking me through some of the challenges that he faced whilst an MP, to the extent that sometimes people want to get married and he has to now be the one to fund the acquisition of a cow for that marriage ceremony, because eventually it will come down to the MP to provide it. Failure upon which you will be labeled as somebody who is not concerned with the welfare of that particular constituent. You come from the Ashanti region, an urban area, if you like.
Well, yes, the choir is very open.
Exactly. I'm wondering whether you also had pockets of some of these unconventional requests that came your way.
Yes. Not in respect of asking for assistance for marriage in particular, but every other thing. And the dishonesty with which the people who are asking for support even report it. I'll give an example. Okay. In around August 2020, I woke up to see my house full of people. I opened the gate, they came in to sit down, and I listened to them one after the other. First, elderly women, lawyer, I'm a widower. My husband died. It's difficult for us, me and the kids, so I want to make kinky to sell. I have this, I have that. I need money to buy the big bowl. Oh, how much would that cost? Quickly mobilize money, give it to her. She goes, another person comes, the same thing. Then I observed that the stream of people that are coming from the same locality was increasing. Until about after 2 hours, a taxi comes to stop there. The people, obviously from church, come out of the taxi, and ask them, yes, what brings you? Oh, lawyer. Lawyer, but now we've heard that lawyer is in town and he's just
ceremony.
That is the kind of mindset with which people take money from the MP.
And if you don't provide,
misrepresent, or sometimes they even lie about why they need the support. They think that because you're an MP, you are responsible for that. In the last 2 years, I've bought tickets, I've credited, I've given my bank account to about 6 young people. After they've gotten their visa, they come to you, they don't have money to buy a ticket. I arrange for the ticket to be issued to them on credit, saying that, their visas include working, so within 6 months they'll pay. In fact, a particular one, the clearing agent came to me to demand his money because the person, after getting the visa and traveling to Canada, he has blocked the travel agent. So I have to pay for it because I guaranteed that. So the demands differ. There are people who are also very grateful. And I'm very particular about supporting people who are doing work with their hands. I went around some workshops. I found a young girl who was a master auto sprayer. I was so impressed. What can I do for you? So if I get an electric one, we quickly arranged for that. She got it. The joy with which she came to thank you. You know, it's very motivational.
Right.
Others received it, and they say, oh, so what is this? We are giving us this. It is our own money.
The thinking is that you owe them a life. But, I mean, going forward, and as somebody, you are now in leadership in Parliament, I put a question to David Apasara that it looks like the legislature is the weakest link in the arm of the government. The judiciary appears to have been taken care of, the executive the same. For the legislature, for an MP, even if you have to buy a vehicle, I mean, you have to pay for it and use that same vehicle
to do public work.
Exactly, the service of the nation. And you have a huge constituency, 250, very vocal, 275, very vocal individuals. When come together, can effect any change that you want. So what really is the way forward? I'm getting to understand that there isn't even a pension scheme for members of Parliament.
Well, first let me say that somehow people don't appear to understand the work of the Member of Parliament. And so it's not one of the agencies they consider as critical. And the reason may be that from our political history, whenever there is an intervention by the military, it is that arm of government that is dissolved. Parliament is dissolved. The executive stays in one form or another. The judiciary stays in its own form. There was an attempt to change it by introducing, what do you call them, first People's Court and later tribunals and things. But the legal system is so strong that it has retained its form and it continues to exercise its own powers. But when it comes to the legislature, first, the membership of the legislature is very fluid. People come in 1 term, they leave, some 2 terms, some 3 terms. The longest one has been Right Honorable Babi.
Right.
After that, then you come to...
Osei Sabonsu.
Yes, and then I come to Colin Zauda, Zebila. Zebila has been in and out a couple of times.
Kennedy Japan, yes.
Kennedy Japan. Then you move on to Esiama and others, then you come to our group. Even these who have served the institution for a long time are the ones who are often very vilified. They are given names. But the point I'm making here is that every year after election, you lose about 40 to 50% of all the members. New people come in. It takes time for them to find their feet, to understand. And then we tend to look to the executive as if what we require to do our work is a favor. So even standing together to demand and insist on what we want is difficult, because some of you are already ministers, and therefore they can't speak to the executive. They ought to be a part of the executive. Some want to be ministers, so they want to join the executive, and therefore their independence is compromised. And it cuts across both sides.
The Constitution is an issue here.
Well, to a large extent, yes. But it ought not to be. Because what I observed also is that every member of Parliament who is a minister prefers to maintain his conditions of service as a member of Parliament first.
Yes.
If there's any other thing, it's a top-up. So it ought not to be that you're afraid of the executive, because you have your backbone as a member of parliament. And if we are working together to protect our interests, it shouldn't be that difficult. But we must accept that generally, conditions of service for everyone in the country is not that good. So it's difficult to insist on some things which are not given to other members of the public. But it is also unfair to expect members of parliament to operate from two locations, operate in Accra and operate at Bekwai. Move in between these two places, and when you get to Bekwai, for example, I have 116 towns and villages. That forms the Bekwai constituency. And so move within that 116 towns and villages as well. And yet, you're not expected to have official state-provided vehicle. The MCE who is operating at location only, let's say the Bekwai MCE, who moves only between the 116,000 villages if he wishes to, is provided official vehicle, official driver, everything. The assembly provides it for him. And the MP who must go back and forth, take the things from here and join here, is not entitled to any of those of the privileges or conditions of service available to them and MCE. Even though in terms of salary, the MP salary is higher than the DCO MCE. The DCO MCE also has facilities which are not available to the MP, and makes it incomparable, But I must say that, for example, just like the Honorable said, the worst part is that whatever you get as an MP, you share with the whole community.
Quite clearly.
You share with the whole community. The only thing you may not share are your wife and children. Every other thing you have, you share. The church wants you to be part of the harvest every time. Every school activity, you have to be there. The districts, if the fire service department has a problem, they come to you. If the municipal health authority has a problem, they come to you. Everybody takes a small bite of the little that comes to you.
And if you don't have, you have to borrow and then satisfy that need.
Unfortunately, we do all the time. Indeed, there's a community in my constituency, they gave me pressure, I actually credited 10 packets of roofing sheets for them because my common fund is not there, it's not available, and there's an emergency in their constituency. So I have to go and buy it. Sometimes say, I'll take it back when the fund comes. But by the time the fund comes, you wouldn't even remember because the procurement process is required. If the money won't come to you, it will go to the supplier. If you're lucky, you get your money back. If not, So the challenges are real. But above all, for me, it is the lack of appreciation and the disrespect members of parliament get that really kills me.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, for sharing your thoughts with us on this very important subject. This is the pulse here on Joy News. Let me also bring in Maxwell Lukuto. Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu is leaving Parliament. David Apasara left already, but someone is coming in, Maxwell Lukuto, and he joins us via Zoom. Maxwell, you're welcome to the pulse.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes.
Right. So you've heard the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the challenges that he's gone through. You've also listened to David Apasara, who was also a member of Parliament and now no longer a member of Parliament. After listening to them, do you think that you are walking into a situation which may not be so nice?
Yeah, seriously, listening to them will make you have a second thought of exactly what the situation is going to be. But this is not the first time I contested to become a member of Parliament. I have done that on a few occasions, and I've had the benefit of talking to some former members of Parliament. And throughout my life, I have been at the front to want to serve people. It's always been a joy to want to contribute to nation building. And so I have not actually found myself in any regular structured service like the civil service or the public service. It's all been private business. After university, I've decided to set up my own business to run, and out of which I have helped several people along the way to where I am. I have not had the privilege of going for a loan.
Okay.
I have my own business to rely on all along, and so it wouldn't be anything too different from what I've been doing for the long time serving my people. And so, challenging as it may be, I think that I'm mentally prepared to go through this. I am a person who takes up challenges and want to succeed in everything I do as a challenge.
All right.
And so, yes, it looks gloomy. It looks gloomy when you listen to seniors for them to espouse the situations they are in, those who left, what the situation.
Well, so we have lost him. We'll bring him back so that we can continue and to find out whether even before the roll call is done, he's already facing demands in the South Ton constituency, where he is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the December 7th general elections. But let me come back to the studio, and Mr. Adipesapasara is here. Clearly, what you also told us fits right into what you've been telling us all afternoon.
Yes, certainly. It is, the understanding that people will fail to appreciate that, yes, as an MP, it doesn't mean you have all the money and you have to do it. Certain times, too, I look at it, it's because people are very vulnerable. You see, if you are coming from an urban setting, it's a bit better. If you are coming from a rural setting, the difficulty is very bad. But people find it difficult to make ends meet. So they certainly have no other person they can get to other than the MP they voted for.
But Mr. Pasara, doesn't this open the conversation or the discussion about you who find yourself in privileged position, like an MP, Minister of State, President, whatever? Your job is to ensure that the environment is conducive such that people can prosper on their own. And that ultimately reduces the pressure they bring on you. Isn't that the ultimate call?
That's the ultimate call.
Exactly.
But as an MP, how you can do this is very limited. You see, like the Honorable Osei was saying, he had to give some support to people to do and to, enhance their businesses. Fine. But how many of the people can you do that to help? And, you look at the population of a constituency, thousands and thousands of people. So you will try to do it, but you really
cannot meet everybody's demand.
Yes, you can. And you can just simply have government policy concentrating in your place. Certain times you are even lucky to have it affecting your constituency.
I'll come back to ask you whether it's easier when your party is in power and more difficult when the party is out of power. But let me bring in again Marcel Lukuto, the NDC's candidate for South Ton. Let me wrap with him, and then I can come to the studio to wrap up this conversation. So, Marcel, I just want to find out, even before you take your seat in the 9th Parliament, are you already meeting demands of your constituents already? Because knowing very well that with you as the NDC's candidate for South Ton, I am absolutely certain that you are the next member of Parliament for the constituency come 2025. And if you can unmute for me.
I have
yes.
met on several occasions, even now becoming a parliamentary candidate. As an ordinary candidate or an aspirant, you meet these things along the way. Even before you get to the primary, these challenges will come. This morning, if I tell you the number of people that I have met who have come to ask for one favor or the other, you will be surprised, but it is on daily basis. Some call you, some will even just send you text messages or WhatsApp messages and expect that you remit them with some money. Somebody called this morning to say that there was a funeral, they wanted to bury the person this weekend. She said no, they should postpone it for a month. And now she's coming to me to take the money to go and pay for the mortuary fees. Can you imagine? So,
and this is also your responsibility.
Yeah, so the demands are numerous and they are always there. But like I'm saying, some of us take up these challenges as a personal thing. We want to experience what it is like. We want to succeed in everything we do. We want to push ourselves and make sure that we bring something out of ourselves. It may not necessarily only be about the monetary gains to become a member of parliament. Honorable said that some of them are like self-actualization. I have been able to make it to this level.
Right.
This is what I've been able to do for my constituents. Some of us enjoy people coming back to say that had it not been you helping me to do this or that, I wouldn't have been who I am today. And so, like I said earlier, in my private business, whatever I gain as a person, I still spend on people to make sure that they used to be. And so that gives me some satisfaction. And I feel that becoming a member of parliament places you at a more advantageous position for you to bring some more benefits to the people. And then if you don't get the financial benefit, you get the satisfaction that you have been able to help somebody to get to where he is. And so beyond the financial and monetary gain and the pressure and the stress that will come on you, some of us feel that we are meant to serve society. And so whichever way it comes, we'll be ready to serve and offer our best to them. It's scary when you hear from them. And sometimes you think like, thinking otherwise, should I withdraw from this? This is what I'm going to meet. But the reality is that it is there. And so we are well ready, prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually for any challenge that will come our way. And we pray and hope that God himself will use that to be a benefit to the number of people who are looking up to us. For some of us, it's a mentoring process to tell somebody that this is what I want to achieve in life and I'll be able to achieve, so that in his diverse field of expertise or career, he can also fight to become the best out of the situation. And so for me, yes, it may not be only the financial gain that I will be looking out for, but the help I'll offer to my people as a community. It's daunting, it's challenging, it's stressful. They pull a lot of money from you. But yes, so you go along. The interesting thing is that you ask yourself, why are people there with all the stress, they still want to continue?
Exactly,
so
that's the question. That is the question. Yes. Despite all these things, in front of you, the competition to even win the seat comes with its own dynamics. Yet, you fight your way through to get it. Sometimes you spend millions of Ghana cedis to get it, knowing very well that the return may not even match up to how much you put in, yet you go for it.
So that's a question you want to ask sometimes, and some after losing it, they behave as if the whole world has crashed on them. So you ask yourself, what is it there that they have lost so much that they want to die themselves? So we do have...
Right. Again, this afternoon, the connection is not a very good friend this afternoon. So I guess we'll leave it here with Maxwell Lutuko. He is the NDC parliamentary candidate for South Dar in the Volta region. Let me quickly pick some the talks of Derek Odro, the former member of parliament from Koranza North. He was a former deputy minister for defense. He was in parliament for a while and then lost the primaries. Honorable Odro, you're welcome to the pause.
Yeah, thank you very much, my dear brother Ruby.
Yes, and let me ask you, your time in parliament, was this exciting or you left parliament broke?
Both. I was in parliament for 4 consecutive times.
Right.
From 19 what should I even, how should I even put it? Because I came through by election.
Yes.
And then left the place after 4 consecutive terms.
Right.
2020, that I lost my election. And it was exciting because when I went there first, it was a new ground for me. I came from the military, and initially I thought people could go by timing. So 30 minutes to the commencement of public, the preliminary session, then I will be there. Just to see that I will be alone.
Right.
And then sometime I got to know that the situation is that, you have to delay for a while. So the press, the media people saw named me KNM first in the air because I was always in the chamber before my colleagues would come. Because of my background as a military, and I wanted things to go. I wanted to go by timing as set up by the parliament. Later on, I got mixed up and then got to know my level, and decided to study the ground and saw that this is the way to go about your responsibilities in parliament. I enjoyed, really I enjoyed, because I used my military experience, military discipline, and went through. When I went there, I was put in the Defense and Interior Committee, among other committees.
But was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Defense and Interior Committee. And because I was a former military officer, things were very, very easy for me. And each time there was any talk about security, any security issue in Parliament, when I get up to talk, everybody sits down. They say, "Oh, Major, go ahead, because you are the man from the military.
From the military.
Security, you are busy, so talk." And I enjoyed that one. Each time there was any presentation, any statement to be made on security, I did it.
So
my background was military.
Right. So in terms of
enjoy living in the Parliament, but as to the techniques.
Exactly. The demands that came on you, was it worth it?
Yeah, to me it was worth it because I decided to serve my people from the very onset as a military officer. My responsibility was to serve my people. So when I continued as a deputy, as a member of parliament, I realized that I was still at home. So I didn't feel anything bad. But the situation is such that if you are going to parliament, if you want to become a member of parliament and then you are not on your feet, you will not enjoy.
What do you mean by being on your feet?
It's quite different from when you are a military officer. Military officer, you go on holidays, you go to your hometown, nobody comes to you, that give me maybe helping hand. I want this, I want that, pay my school fees, my hospital bills, my wedding engagement, I'm going, what assistance do you have for me? All this is when I was in the military, I was not experiencing this. But when I became a member of parliament, people thought that, yes, really, they voted for you, and you are to come and assist them by way of living their welfare and things. So the ground was quite different for me. But I bet you, my brother Robbie, if you are not on your feet, you are not worth to do. You don't have any other source of income. You cannot be a member of parliament because your people would require you to assist them financially and any other assistance that they may need from you, which may even require money. So you need to support them. And if you don't have it, you depend on only your income from parliament. You'll be found wanting. You'll be found wanting, and therefore you have to have another source of income. I didn't have any problem because I was a big time farmer. I'm now currently speaking with you from my farm plantation. I have a very big mango farm, citrus farm, I plant maize, all sort of crops.
So you're okay, basically.
And I didn't have any problem when I was a member of parliament. Therefore, if you don't have anything to support your constituency would require you to try as much as possible, whether you have it or not. That is not their lookout. Help them because they voted for you. And therefore, if you cannot do that, I bet you second term you will not go. But they will say you are not helping them. Another issue is that you are not to construct roads, you are not to do any development projects, but except the few ones that you can do with your income, your common fund.
And the rest. But you make promises to them that when I come, I'll do this, I'll do that. So when they make their demands, they are right in action. That you deliver
maybe because I didn't know the grounds, I didn't make any promise. Because I knew very well that before I went to Parliament, I was enlightened. I was a military officer, major, and I knew what I was about. So I knew it wasn't the member of Parliament who would come and construct your road. It is the responsibility of the government. Whether your government is in power or your government is not in power, you're supposed to go about lobbying, trying to see how you talk in Parliament, you ask questions, parliamentary questions to the ministers for them to come and assist you in all sectors, agri, education, everywhere. That is your responsibility. But there are other friends, other colleagues who didn't know the ground before they came in. They were making huge promise, and therefore, it's just like the original sin. The whole problem came to every member of Parliament. Oh, you went to Parliament, you made promise, you went to. How can you say you are coming to construct roads? Maybe you say if you elect you as a member of Parliament, they vote for you, and they vote for your government. Then you would ensure that maybe your government comes to construct the road, comes to provide other infrastructure for the community or for the constituency. But to say you will come and do it, it's a big blow. I didn't make any promise, and they knew I didn't make any promise because I came to take over from somebody through by election, and I knew what the guy was doing because he was somehow what to do, and he was in fact supporting with money, giving them money. So when I came, I told them that yes, somebody was fishing for you. I have come, and I want to come and teach you how to fish. Still, they call me by that name, teaching them how to fish, because I will let you know how to live, how to go about your living so that you can earn your living. And therefore, people knew me from the very onset that, oh yeah, Major, this is how he goes about his business. But it's true. Other colleagues face difficulties because they made promises. Because their campaign team, if they didn't make, their campaign team made promises unknowingly. They didn't know what they were saying. Some will even go to where they don't have any river, no lake, but they will go and promise Abo Moto without knowing that there's no river in that community. So they ask you, oh, how are we going to use the Abo Moto? Then they turn around to say that, oh, we'll come and construct a very big lake for you so that we'll bring you the Abo Moto and you put it on it to fish. These are all things that people promised and they didn't know what they were saying. So it's true. Other people promised and then they couldn't fulfill the promise because either the government was not their government or because of the financial situation in the country, the general economic situation, the other projects couldn't get to them, and therefore they were not able to make it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Them with that responsibility.
Thank you so much, Honorable former Member of Parliament from Kwanza North and former Deputy Defenseman Derek Odo. He said he left Parliament. He already put in place his exit plan, so his farm was already there for him, and he's living a very comfortable life. Mr. Apasara, the way forward.
Well, I think the way forward is for Parliament itself to accept itself and see how it can take care of its members when they leave Parliament.
Yeah, should there be a fund for former MPs?
Yeah,
especially those who are having it tough.
Well, now you cannot talk about a fund. Where is it coming from? That is why I think that Parliament should try and make amendments to the Constitution to the effect that an MP is equally entitled to pension.
Exactly.
And then the MP, when he leaves, he has a pension. This issue about having your maybe a company or whatever functioning.
Yeah,
I know a whole number of people who have come and their organizations have collapsed. I know some who had very good law firms. They've collapsed because at the time you are in the parliament, whatever is there,
you wouldn't have time.
You won't have time to manage it.
To do other things.
Yes,
that's very instructive.
So it is just for us to say yes, we can be the same, and if we have to say that people who are well established will only come to parliament, then parliament will not be that interesting. So certainly, what we need to do now is for parliament to take a look at what the ruling or the judgment of the Supreme Court regarding pension for members of parliament, what it is, and then how they can work around it, so that at the end of the day, if somebody comes to serve his people,
he has to be
because as he's saying rightly, we had the feeling to work for our people, and you have the happiness and the joy when people see you and say, oh, by virtue of this man's effort, I have gone through education, I've gone through this, I've gone through that. That one, it is what gives you the joy. But at the end of the day, you must also survive. You must also live. And like...
So you say that there are a lot more former MPs who are struggling?
I'm telling you, that one is a fact. If we pretend, we are pretending. And certainly, that is how the nature of the African...
The political parties, what can they do?
Political parties can do very little for you. The political parties, fortunately, well, a few of former members are appointed ministers and maybe chief executives and so on. Majority of them are not.
The recommendation is that if the constitution is amended where the president will no longer have to appoint more than 50% of his ministers for parliament, parliament will become stronger and they can advocate for their own welfare. That will be very good for them.
Well, I think that right now the parliament we have is a very strong parliament.
Okay.
And the parliament that we have, if they will look at it, they can do it.
They can do a lot of changes.
Yes. You see, why we made more than 50% of ministers coming from parliament, some people had served in governments, and they thought that they were not. The MP is the one who struggles, who works hard, who canvasses for vote for the party. Finally, the party comes to power, and the MP is marginalized.
Right.
Because you are there, and you know, it's not rosy.
Okay.
The minister is there enjoying, and the minister didn't participate in bringing the party to power.
Okay.
And so people thought that we have to make it such that if you struggle and come to parliament, you can still also benefit.
Mr. Before I let you go, just two quick questions before I let you go. PNC, are you coming on the ticket?
Yes, certainly. We had difficulties in the court. We're struggling with leadership question. That has been answered now. The court has given a judgment, and I'm still the leader of the party, and my able national chairman, Honorable Moses Danaba, is still in office. And we are going to get together, organize ourselves, and then we move to have constituency elections, and then the regional elections, and then the National Congress to elect a flag bearer and national officers.
And you are going to contest the flag bearership position of the party?
Oh, certainly.
You're hoping to lead the PNC
in
the 2024 elections?
I'm hoping to lead the PNC to the next election.
There was issue about some Mason Land Cruiser. Has it been resolved?
Oh, yes. All that has been resolved. I mean, some of them were...
They said you took it?
Yes. Some of them were saying that it is a party vehicle. Well, the thing is, somebody offered me a vehicle to do the work and
the
to
person
help
gave
myself.
you as a gift?
Yes.
So it didn't belong to a party?
It didn't belong to
and
a
when
party.
you left, you took the vehicle with you?
Well, I haven't left. I'm the leader of the party.
No,
so I'm still working for the party. So I haven't left. Yes. So anybody saying David has taken a party vehicle, the question is, this is not the first time. We have had leadership, we have had flag bearers from day one, from 1992. And 1992 was Hilary Liman himself. But from 1996, People have been flag bearers.
Right.
And they have equally been given cars, and they have never given they don't, I mean, if you are no longer doing work for the party, that is different. But I am still doing the work. I'm still having to move to the grassroots and then organize. So what do I use to do that?
All right, Mr. Apasara, thank you very much. And we'll follow the timetable for the internal elections leading up to the National Congress, and then we'll see how that would unfold.
Yes, I'm very grateful. Let me seize the opportunity to say hi to my party members and then all party sympathizers, and to assure them that the party is still on and that we will come forward.
David Apasara is a former member of parliament for Bolgatanga and former flag bearer of the PNC, and you just heard it on the pause that he will be contesting again on the ticket of the PNC for election 2024. This is the pause here on Joy News. We'll take a short break. When we return, we have more for you.